Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something absolutely crucial. We're going to take your raw, messy, everyday ideas and pass them through the ultimate filter to engineer the perfect research problem. If you've ever stared at a blank screen, just totally overwhelmed by a massive topic and wondering, where do I even begin? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's learn how to lock in on a target. So, let's start with a really simple question to get the gears turning. Consider these two topics. Which of them do you think would be easier to research, and why? On one hand, we've got the massive global concept of pollution. On the other, we have something super targeted, the effect of household waste segregation on community cleanliness in barangay citrus. You probably guessed the specific one, right? Well, today's agenda is basically your roadmap to understanding exactly how we pull off that transformation. We'll be hitting 1, defining the problem, 2, why it matters, 3, the 8 traits, 4, spot the better problem, and finally 5, fixing weak questions. Let's jump in. Number 1, defining the problem. What exactly is it? Before we can build the perfect problem, we really need to know what we're actually building here. A research problem isn't just, a passing thought or some broad subject you find kind of interesting. It's actually a very specific gap in knowledge that your study is designed to answer. It's an issue, a real concern, or a precise question that literally demands investigation. Honestly, it's the entire reason your research needs to exist in the first place. Moving on to Section 2, why it matters, the anchor of your study. Without a firm anchor, research can feel, frankly, incredibly overwhelming. Imagine staring at a massive chalkboard completely covered in complex equations. You're faced with endless data points, formulas, a million directions you could take. But your research problem acts as your definitive guide through all that chaos. It tells you your exact objectives, it pinpoints the specific methods you're going to need, and it proves the ultimate significance of your work. Basically, it keeps you from wandering aimlessly. Section 3. The 8 traits. The ultimate idea filter. So we use 8 specific characteristics as a filter to, strain out the bad ideas. Think of this like a mandatory checklist before you commit your time and energy. The first 4 traits ensure your problem is structurally sound. First, it's got to be clear, totally free from ambiguity. Second, specific, targeting a focused population or issue. Third, researchable, meaning it's actually driven by data you can collect. And fourth, feasible. Look, if you don't have the time, the budget, or the access to pull it off, it's a no-go. It instantly fails the filter. Now, the second half of the filter makes sure your work actually matters. Number 5, it has to be significant, offering useful knowledge or a real solution. 6, ethical. This is huge. It absolutely must protect participants and respect their rights. 7, relevant to real-life, everyday concerns. And 8, novel or timely, meaning it brings a fresh perspective to emerging issues. A rock-solid problem checks off all 8 of these boxes before you even write a single word of your study. Let's hit Section 4, spot the better problem, A/B testing ideas. Let's treat this like a lab and do some A/B testing. Compare just saying social media, which is merely a topic, incredibly vague with zero direction, to stating something like, influence of social media usage on the academic performance of grade 11 students at Citrus National High School. Boom. That second statement gives you an exact issue, a highly specific population, and a clear setting. It passes those specific and clear filters instantly. And this next comparison perfectly illustrates feasibility. On one hand, you have reading skills. Again, way too broad. Where do you even begin with that? But on the other hand, look at relationship between daily reading habits and reading comprehension levels of grade 11 students. That is highly researchable. Daily habits and comprehension levels, those are measurable variables. You can actually go out and collect hard data on this. Okay, Section 5, fixing weak questions guided practice. Let's put you in the researcher's shoes for a second and fix some broken ideas. Take this question. Why are students lazy nowadays? Run that through our 8-trait filter in your head for a second. How does it hold up? Yeah, it desperately needs improvement. I mean, a word like lazy is completely subjective. It's biased, and it's practically impossible to measure systematically, right? What one person calls lazy, someone else might call burnt out or just understimulated. Because the variables are completely undefined here, it just utterly fails the clear and researchable tests. You just can't build a scientific study on an opinion. Let's look at another one. A really common starting point for a lot of people. Is social media bad? Just think about how we would even begin to collect data to answer a question phrased like that. Once again, this crashes right into the clear and specific filters right out of the gate. Bad is entirely subjective. Bad for who? Bad in what way? And the scope, it's massive. You could literally spend your entire life studying this and never arrive at a definitive, data-driven conclusion because the parameters just don't exist. Now compare those messy, subjective thoughts to this beauty. What is the effect of sleep duration on the academic performance of grade 12 STEM students in XYZ Senior High School during school year 2026 to 2027? Just listen to how incredibly tight that language is. That right there passes the filter beautifully. It gives you highly measurable variables, sleep duration in hours, and academic performance and grades. It defines a very specific population, and it locks in a feasible scope that you can actually execute within one school year. This is exactly what a perfectly engineered research problem looks like in the wild. So, before you run off to filter your own topics, whether that's online gaming, environmental pollution, whatever it is you're into, ask yourself, why should researchers carefully identify a research problem in the first place? Well, without it, you're just lost in a sea of endless data. With it, you've got a compass. But I want to leave you with this final thought. Think about the very next big problem you want to solve in your own life or career. If you ran it through this exact 8-point filter right now, would it survive? Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep exploring.